Yeah, yeah. Too bad, too bad, too bad, too bad, too bad, too bad. She got me thinking that she too bad, too bad, too bad, too bad, too bad, too bad. She got me thinking that she.
What's going on? Let me jump in the live chat. Hello. I'm just going to say that every single time. What's going on? My name is Joel Casanova, your favorite mobile dance educator. So first and foremost, let me get this out of the way. Forgive me if this live chat is a little shorter. Like a day or two ago, I woke up kind of under the weather and like coughing and all that junk. So I'm like super tired right now, but it's just because my body's like fighting this. Besides that, let me welcome you to the fourth and final live stream for February, which is so exciting. I feel like I just started it like a day ago, but so I created this community for what reason? For people who love dance. That means everyone. Like I said, students, teachers, insert job here, engineers. I actually work with engineers, accountants, young people, old people, babies, senior citizens. If you love dance, it qualifies you to go into this. Not if you want to do a career in dance, not if you want to be a professional, not if you want to be a teacher, just for the fact that you love dance and you want to use it for your specific reason. Right? That's the whole core of this. But we're going to talk more about the specifics of that actually in this live stream. So one of the people who are a part of this amazing community is Heather. So last week, just a couple of days ago, I was talking with Heather in the comments of the third live stream that we did last week. And we got talking about like what BeatHunter is about and all this different stuff. And so BeatHunter dance, including the community, centers kind of around two things. So first, showing people that they have a relationship with dance, and the fact that viewing it in that way is so important. Second, clarifying that relationship so that the relationship is healthy and beneficial. That's why I have all the blogs. That's why I have this live stream every Tuesday, the podcast, the tutorials. You can grow in any way you want. However, first, you need to realize that you have a relationship with dance. So that'll look like two separate things. So I'm not talking about like romantic relationships or like friendship relationships. I'm talking about like your relationship to other things, right? So the analogy could be put in two different ways. Let's say Brian, okay? I have a friend named Brian, great dude. I love that guy. We've been through a lot of things. I've known him for several years. And I know him and he knows me and we're close, right? So I can share things with him. He can share things with me. And we've gone out to eat. We've talked about, really sensitive things. We talked about just superficial, like, oh my gosh, have you seen this movie? Everywhere in between, right? So that's like my relationship to dance, right? So imagine, if you will, come with me on this journey. If you heard about Brian from someone else who said they knew him, and they just like told you a whole bunch of lies about Brian. So like he's annoying and he's rude and he, talks while he eats and smacks his gum and, he does all this horrible stuff, right? So smacking your gum is like so horrible. Like he's, rude and he's like, cheated on people and he's, like flunked tests and he's not intelligent and all these different things. And, he's lied behind people's back and none of which is true, about Brian. But if you didn't know Brian and you got your relationship through that other person, you would have no reason to say that it wasn't true about Brian. So then you have this like chip on your shoulder when it comes to your relationship with Brian, if you were to meet him in person. Right? You're like, man, this guy, I'm sure he's blah, 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 because this other person told you. Right? So that's what happens when someone else, and you get your information about dance from someone who's telling you lies about dance. Right? You then become like, oh, I want this thing because humans were meant to dance, but then I have this relationship with dance that's like strenuous because you believe the lies. And so then in the same case of Brian, you don't even really know Brian. You just know what you heard about Brian. And that's the same thing. You may be dancing, but you really don't know what dance is because all you've been told are these lies about dance, right? So that's like a human analogy. Let's take it to something that's a little closer, right? So something like food. Okay, so food is an inanimate object. Everyone needs food to, to live and all this different stuff. Everyone has a relationship with dance. And we can all agree that food can be good. Let's start from the baseline, right? Like, you might have preferences on what you like, what you don't like, how things are cooked, like different stuff like people who have like super runny eggs like over easy versus people who don't like runny eggs at all, right? So it's like, but they still love eggs. You understand both eggs are under the category of food. And so you have a relationship with food. You've been doing it since you were born. But not everyone has a good relationship with food. Okay, so someone might be bulimic, right? Or anorexic, and you have this like, okay, the food makes me fat. So this is affecting my image, and you're like, and so for whatever reason, whatever you were told, whatever circumstance you find yourself in, there are some people in life who have a horrible relationship with food and end up having this eating disorder, bulimia, or anorexia. Or on the converse, like the complete flip side, some people have an addiction to food, right? There's no self-control. There's no healthy choices when it comes to it. It's just this addiction that you can't control. You're almost like not in control of this relationship. These are all true facts, right? But everyone agrees that you need food to live, right? You don't necessarily need dance. You should want dance, like I said in the last live stream. But you have this relationship that's like, it's strenuous, right? And so you need to realize that you have a relationship to food and then clarify that relationship, right? Because then it becomes, like I said, healthy and beneficial. And this could be taken into a whole bunch of different things. We have relationships with things that are not people: work, rest, government, then there's families, there's even romantic relationships. Like, we are in relationship to these things and these people in these specific kinds of ways. And so we need to see dance in that way. And we need to then clarify our relationship so that it can be healthy and beneficial. For example, if you noticed, in the food analogy, like the food addiction versus bulimia versus all this type of stuff, it's always related back to the person. Like, food is inanimate objects, it's just food, right? But it's this relationship that goes two ways, right? So you have on one side food and on the other side the person. And so the person is being affected. In the same way, when you have this strenuous relationship with dance and you don't know the truth about it, dance isn't really affected. You are. You're the person. That's the most important thing. And so that's the reason why BeatHunter Dance and the community is trying to show that aspect of dance, because it's so important. And then try to not just say, hey, you're in a relationship with dance, okay, bye. It's like, hey, you're in a relationship with dance. This is the truth about This is the truth about dance, and this is how you should view it, so that you don't hurt yourself or hurt other people. And that goes to the main why. Like, why should we have this? Why should we, clarify our relationship with dance? Because the dance world as a whole is the sum of its parts. We, as people, as dancers, we are the sum of the dance world, right? All together. Like, you add up all the people, all together, the whole is made up of people. It's not a place. There's no dance world where you go, like World of Dance. Like, the show is not the end all be all, right? It's a community. It's a people group. And so our relationship with each other is directly affected by our relationship to what connects us, which is dance. Right? We're not talking about, jobs. We're not talking about, construction. We're not talking about legal field or universities or schooling or tutoring or whatever. We're talking about dance. So in the dance world, my relationship to you and my relationship to him and my relationship to her is directly affected by how my relationship is with dance. In the same way that if we go to a meal with someone and I have a bad relationship with dance, I have a bad relationship with food, you're going to have a whole different emotional and experiential time than I am. Or if we went to dinner with Brian and you have a specific kind of way you view Brian, and I actually know Brian, when we get together with Brian, we go out to eat or see a movie or just hang out, it's going to be a completely different experience. And so your relationship with me is now affected because you have a view of Brian and I'm a friend of Brian's, right? So this thing can be taken totally out of context and put in somewhere that it's never meant to be. Because it can't be in this area. It can only be what it is, which is dance. So when we do this, when we go on live streams, when we talk, when we go to a dance class, when we go to a workshop, when we talk about dance businesses, when we talk about dance owners, when we talk about students, when we talk about introducing people to dance, like little kids, right? It affects everyone. Because dance, literally, it's not, like I said, I've said it before, it's not a tangible thing. It's moving your body. So what is your relationship with moving your body? You do it every day. That's the tool. This thing is the tool that you use to move your body. So it's not like a guitar that you can just put down and walk away from, or food, which is a physical thing that's on the table. You can walk away from the table. You eventually have to come back because unless you're gonna starve yourself. But it's like when you're at work, when you're in the car, when you're talking with people, when you're high-fiving someone, when you're taking a shower, when you're going to bed, when you're sleeping, when you're stretching, if you do that on a daily routine, when you're going to the movies, like no one really goes to the movies anymore. I keep saying that. When you're streaming a movie on your TV or on your laptop, that relationship is still with you there because the tool that you use for dancing is this. And so those are all this is why it's so important, right? But then you flip it on its side and you start taking the positive side. What if, because you had an amazing relationship with dance, you love your body no matter where you are or what you're doing? Like, you can get out of the shower, look yourself in the mirror and be like, not in a conceited way, but in a fact way, that's my body. That's how I'm created. I love my body. I love myself, right? That leaves room for growth, right? Because you can grow in dance. In the same way you can grow in what's happening with your body. If you need to lose weight, if you need to, stretch more so that you're not like stiff all the time. If you need to relax, like that comes with you. You can grow in that. Like, I want to run a marathon. Do it. But if you're like, oh man, that affects my body, so my view of my body and moving my body is like, there's a lot under the rug that we don't talk about. It's like, lift the rug, talk about it, like acknowledge it, because you're denying a relationship with Brian, with a best friend that could be so healthy and beneficial to you on a daily basis, right? Calling up a best friend, you know, Lisa, hello, like, you would not believe what just happened to me, right? Whoever Lisa is, like, you can talk to this person and call them on the phone and just say what it is, you know? And it's like, if you didn't have that, you would just be like, this thing just happened, I have no one to tell. It's like, I want to move my body, but like, I can't do that. All the possibilities are closed to you in that way. So that is the heart of BeatHunter Dance. I get so passionate about it because it's the heart of what I do. It's like every lesson that I do goes back to two things. Do you realize you have a relationship with dance? What are your views? Let's clarify them, because you can help yourself. And so it's something that that I feel like a lot of people glaze over when it comes to talking about dance. And I feel like this community could be the perfect catalyst to start that conversation, and not just start that conversation, but capitalize on the benefits.